Way back in the day, I'm talking about, wow, 2000. The saying, you're not a man unless you know, and at that point, I would use the pagan term of Elohim. That's all I knew. I have to work with what I have. What I have. What I can get, or what is now available, is more information. People are going to be going back and forth, right? They're going to be going back and forth, seeking knowledge. I have another reference, and it was a conversation with Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Means it is so cold that when the moisture evaporates from the oceans, goes to the clouds go over the land, it doesn't rain, it snows. And the snow falls, and then it stays. So the water that had lifted up from the ocean does not return to the ocean. It accumulates on the land. And this accumulation, when it's significant and sustained, we call glaciers. Glaciers is not itself a snowfall. It is compressed snow that's basically changed state into this ice river that flows very slowly back to the ocean. But the oceans are getting drained faster than they're getting replenished. So during the Ice Age, the ocean levels dropped, exposing the Bering Strait land bridge between Asia and what is now Alaska, basically North America. Our ancestors who come out of Africa go into Europe. Some stayed, others kept wandering. Some stayed low above the Mediterranean, others went high. They populate Asia. They keep walking because there's a land bridge there. They don't even know it's a bridge, it's just more land. So they walk, and they enter North America. And from there, that's kind of the only way you can go is south at that point. The weather gets a little better. The Ice Age ends. The glaciers melt back into the oceans. The ocean levels rise, closing the land bridge, stranding a branch of the human species for 10,000 years. Those humans who made it across that land bridge and spread out into North America, Central America, South America, have only a few families as their parent genetic, as their genetic origin. Okay? Only, it's like, some research says it's like 8 family lineages populated the entire North and South American continents. Wow. Then the land bridge breaks. Now you have Europe, Asia, Africa, and North and South America, and they know nothing of one another. 2 separate branches of the human species. The Vikings notwithstanding, maybe they came over, they didn't. Even if they did, their influence was near zero relative to the Europeans. So we're talking about influence here. This is a branch. Had this continued, this is how you speciate. This is why the species on Australia, that's why you have mammals there that have pouches, all right? No other mammals do that. They split off and they evolved their own way. Okay, so 10,000 years is not enough to grow 3 heads or, 12 fingers, but our species is separate. Now, Columbus crosses the Atlantic, makes contact with humans. This is the first time that has happened in 10,000 years. We have rejoined 2 branches of the human species. We are now one common genetic group. And that genetic crossbreeding now continues to this day. We fly to any corner of the world and mate, okay? And the mating already began immediately. Yes, there were diseases that Columbus brought to North America, much written about that. Less written is that he brought syphilis back to Europe. First cases of syphilis of 1492.
Also, what it said was
And then it
They got
skyrocketed.
syphilis from the Native Americans?
in China, there were the first Chinese were black. They reported this in 2015 that summer officially that the first Chinese were black. Here's a picture of the first inhabitants of the Philippines. Look black to me. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected the knowledge, I will also reject you. It also goes on to say, you shall be no priest to me, seeing you have forgotten the Torah of your Elohim. I will also forget your children. Meaning, if you don't do your job, somebody else is going to have to pay for it. And this is just dealing on knowledge. There's another conversation that's coming up with Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay, so on his third voyage, by the time of his third voyage, he had already planted enough Spanish flags that Spain had already begun to set up governments and infrastructures in these places that he had found. Yeah, basically conquered. And so in one of the places, it's in the book accurately, but I think it's Hispaniola, one of the island today. He has to get back, this is his third voyage, 1503 or 1504. He's got to get back to Spain. He doesn't have enough resources, not enough food for his crew. So he asks the natives, would you please give us some of your stock that you have collected from your farming? Now, this particular group of natives only makes exactly the amount of food they need to tie to the next crop. They don't have surplus. So they said, no, we don't have surplus, sorry. Columbus knew that 1 week hence, coincidentally, there was going to be a total lunar eclipse where the moon in its orbit around Earth enters Earth's shadow. The full moon enters Earth's shadow and disappears. And the geometry of that event, it's just a simple lunar eclipse, but the geometry is such that sunlight passes around Earth through Earth's atmosphere and takes on sunset colors that leach into Earth's shadow, giving the moon, if you can see it at all, a deep red amber hue, almost the color of blood. Columbus said, and he knew about this because he had read the tables, the eclipse tables, all right? We'd known enough about the solar system at the time we got that, okay? Actually, back then it was just the known world with Earth in the middle of the known universe. But that didn't matter. The rhythms of the universe were known. He says to the natives, if you do not give us food, my God, which is more powerful than your God, will make the moon disappear and it will turn blood red. That will happen in 1 week. You have 1 week to comply. Some of them were skeptical. What? You can't what? Others said, we got to do what this guy says. Look at the ships they came in. Their guns, their power, their culture. Look what they've got. Sure enough, right on cue, the moon begins to disappear. According to that is a famous woodcut. You got this? Those viewing the video of this?
Yeah.
That is a famous woodcut, and notice the natives bowing to him, and he stands proudly because he knows the science. He knows the astronomy. He knew this. And so he invokes this to dominate people who are not yet scientifically literate. And within seconds of this beginning, they bring him all the resources he wants, and he gets, and we don't know what happened, back at the island, whether the people survived the winter. But he got back to the island. That is one microcosm of ways that the universe
shows how knowledge gave them the advantage to unassuming, unknowing, those who lack knowledge about some things in their environment and how they could fall prey to them with the lack of knowledge or to those who have knowledge. Yah sends knowledge and understanding. With the Ruach, it comes from him. It's his will be done. As in this walk with Scripture, test everything. Those things that are disagreeable and those things that are agreeable. Still test them. I have one more aspect, and I'm going to give this to you. It deals with, again, the people in that area during a set period of time. Now, the reason I said, of course, there are still Israelites in Africa. Here we go. I'm going to upset some people when you start talking about the Holocaust, but it raises the question. They say 6 million people cremate these bodies. They'd still be cremating 6 million bodies. 6 million. Now, I bet everybody didn't go by way of the ovens. Also, during that period of time, there was what they called the North African Campaign by the Nazis. Rommel. And I remember this because it's so prevalent and no one ever talks about it. He was called the Desert Fox, and he ran what was known as the North African Campaign. We'll fast forward because you can get into a lot of war stories about the people in that area, Nazis, Jews, Gentiles. In 1950, was it 1950? 1952. You see this picture. General Nasser. I'm sure you've heard the story, but as it say, you, the Jews, will never live here in peace, and they haven't. Because you left here black, but you came back white, we cannot accept you. Where did all these white Jews come from? So maybe that 6 million is an exaggerated number because you see how they do. They're quick to tell a lie, aren't they? And then when they get caught up at it, they either don't say anything or they double down and they lie about that again. Where'd all these people come from? As I said, they're just Hebrew-speaking Gentiles. Just like it says. Makes you wonder some more about what we've always known. The whole world was deceived. You was deceived, I was deceived. Now, you just woke up. So everything you know has a big question mark or an asterisk by it. Did this really happen? And you have to go search. Another attempt at dummying down America like they did. Not like they're trying to, they did it. They changed our history books, and you know that story. It's been told. So it's up to you. Not just to fulfill the requirement to get that piece of paper, but to learn and to know. That's the main things, to know. Hosea 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected the knowledge, I will also reject you. Flame on.